Good afternoon. This is a regular meeting of the Cameron County Commissioners Court, the 26th day of May 2011. It is now a little after 2 p.m. As we do all meetings, we will start with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Texas flag. And I'm going to ask Mr. Kiko Rendon, who's chairman of the Texas Southmost College Board of Trustees, to lead us in those pledges. I know he's looking up the words of the Texas flag, but it's on this. It'll be on the screen, Kiko. Okay? Please rise. Thank you. Kiko.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. If there's no objection from the court, I'd like to take one item out of order which deals with South Padre Island. This is considered, I know because they need to get back to some meeting or something. So consideration approval of interlocal agreement with the city of South Padre Island relating to South Padre Island reinvestment zone. It's item J, 4J.
Judge, this item is before the court at the request of the city of South Padre Island. There have been changes made to the agreement based on previous discussions with the court to strengthen the terms and conditions in case of default or failure to perform, particularly with regards to the reporting requirements. There's been other changes. One of the main changes is that previously the county was asked to participate at 100% for 15 years, and that would have generated about $16 million over that term. That amount has been reduced from 100% participation by the county to 75%, and that'll generate a little over $12 million over the term.
I just have a couple of questions, and this really has not a whole lot to do with you all. On the prior TERS that we handle, which we know what this is going to not generate in terms of revenue. Do we have anything on all the other ones that are out there in terms of what and the amount of revenue that the county is not receiving?
We know what the projected tax increment schedules were for each zone based on the finance plans that were presented to the court. The problem has been tracking them because not all of the zones are reporting to the county the way they should be. But as far as what they're supposed to be, what the county is committed to, we do have estimates of that. Do you want to go over that?
No, what I'd like to do is maybe get you and Martha, and I guess the tax assessor collector, to come up with all the parcels and the pieces of property on all the TERSs that we have. And I'd like to see based on what we briefly talked about this morning, using the last 5 years on average projected out through the term of the TERS, just so the court knows how much money we are not receiving as we do this. What is this? Are you a mind reader or what?
It's another way to look at it.
All right.
This is what? Frank? What is this?
It's a revenue information.
Oh, okay.
Wait till you get to the mic.
The concern that has been expressed by staff, not necessarily because of the SPI zone, but because of all the zones that have been approved by the county previously, our concern is that we have no way of measuring right now what the fiscal impact is of the county dedicating future tax revenue within the zones when its general fund expenses keep increasing every year. And we have no way of measuring that until were able to conduct a fiscal impact analysis by an independent consultant, I believe. Now, ironically, the problem is that the county cannot find budget to conduct that study. But, you know, just for the record, if you look at the handout that was just given to you, these are numbers that I asked the county auditor to put together, and it can give you, it shows you what the last 5 years, what the trend is as far as valuations that the county relies on annually to generate property taxes. And you can see that our valuations are sort of have been stagnant the last 2 years. But our expenses, our operating expenses keep going up.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see that this year already. Was it 1.2%? I'm talking about the appraised value that's coming for Cameron County. I think it's about 1.2, 1.6% increase.
The increase is about a 2.58. After the hearings and everything, we expect that we will be back at about 1.2% increase from
Right?
last year's.
Okay.
Yes.
And what we're doing by freezing our valuations in the zones that we've already approved is we're giving ourselves less room to grow, less room to generate additional revenue.
Unless we raise taxes.
Unless we raise
The
taxes.
tax rate. Yeah.
So that continues to be our concern at a staff level. I still think the county needs to undertake a fiscal impact analysis. There has to be a threshold that the county will reach where you say, we can't sustain any more zones. You know, this is as far as we can go. I can't tell you what that is unless the county conducts that study.
Well, it's like we did a couple of weeks ago. You know, we approved a grant that's going to hit us in 3 years, and I think the discussions were, well, we'll worry about it in 3 years. And, you know, to me, that's looking just to the edge of your nose, and you're not looking past that. And the same thing, I do not want to penalize the city of South Padre Island for this. Okay, I don't want to do that. I mean, all of a sudden they're here, we're going to stop it. I think, my opinion, I think you go forward, you do that, you do this one as we agreed to do, and then as soon as we can find the funding.
So we've agreed already?
No. What I agreed to do at the meeting that we had was that's how the 75% came up.
Right.
Was that I told him I would support that, and I'm still going to support that. And prospectively from this day forward, I think you're right. I think we need to do that. Need to find out what that is. And when we don't see that we're generating the tax revenue that we should, well, this is why we're not, because we've chosen as a court to basically freeze these increased in valuations. And in 15 years, we'll have a nice windfall, but what do we do in the interim in terms of growth? So I understand that.
Well, I think that, from my perspective, and I want to clarify a point here, is every tax reinvestment zone that I've supported while I've been a commissioner has been to support a blighted area that is underdeveloped, that needs an impetus to grow and to develop to its potential. And that's very different than this particular document that I have before me, because I don't think that the island is a blighted area. I don't think that it is underdeveloped. I think that it is evolving as we go along. And I think it would be fiscally irresponsible of me to support doing something of this manner unless it was in a blighted area that would not otherwise be developed. That's why these instruments came to be, to help areas that otherwise could not develop and could not come to fruition in the next 25 years, and utilize this type of reinvestment to occur, okay? But this area, it's kind of like saying, okay, Las Vegas, Nevada, do a reinvestment zone in the Strip so we can bring gambling to the area when you have gambling there already, It's the same concept. We already have entertainment venues there. We already folks there. We already have many amenities there that exist nowhere else in this county. But yet, we're going to subsidize a developed, well-developed area that is generating a lot of sales tax to that city, And now if the city came to us and says, we're gonna invest $12 million just like you are, I would support that.
They are doing that.
Are they coming up with $12 million totally?
Yes.
They're participating at 100%, which will generate just a little bit more.
What's their tax rate?
I don't know the tax rate.
Is it gonna generate 12 million? The last time I saw it didn't.
Well, see,
The last,
we came down.
right,
From
and they remain
Yeah,
constant.
no, what I asked them to do was, look, tell us what, in order for us to be at the same level with the island,
Right.
tell us what the decrease would be, and that's where the 75% came from.
Right.
Las Vegas is a great example to use, because right now, if you talk to the people that are living there, it is blighted. You got property values that are down 50, 60%, throughout. Their bubble has burst. And I'm not saying that, I just don't know, the TERSs that we've approved in blighted areas have failed to develop the way they said they were going to develop, in spite of the blighted area. So I haven't seen anything from the other ones. Now, in speaking to the mayor and Darla that day, to me, they demonstrated that what they're talking about is blighted. Maybe not, I think when we think of the word blighted, we're thinking of maybe ghetto areas or areas that are totally undeveloped for some reason. But Mayor would, feel free to come up, because you had a good argument that day that we talked about this.
Well, we had a good argument, and
Well, but the
excuse me
point
for
is-
interrupting too, okay? When I sit there and watch a meeting of the EDC council, and we can't come to an agreement on boardwalks, okay? And they're delaying the decision on boardwalks till we approve this instrument, because quote unquote, by two commissioners that sit on your council, we don't want to bring that up till after we pass the TERS, because it might impact the decision that is made on our boardwalks,
May I address all that?
okay? And that was, you have it on video on,
May I address it?
yeah?
Yeah, well,
Okay,
just to
first of all-
clarify- hold on, Mayor. Just to clarify one point, the way the agreement, and I don't know about, I didn't see the EDC meeting, but by agreement, we're at the same level in terms of tax dollars. Our 75% is equivalent to 100% of their tax rate. So, so that concern that you expressed now is no longer, I think, because now we're investing or
Equal to.
we're equal to that. So let's
In
talk about
fact, I
that.
think it's a little bit less than what they will be putting in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not, it's.
Maybe not much, but it's still
It's
less.
minuscule.
Yeah, Judge, Commissioners,
talk about the-
first of all, thank you for having us on the agenda. Secondly, for moving us up, because we do have to get back in for a meeting. Thirdly, as we explained or have explained in the past, the areas, it's about 5% is what's being put in of the total taxable area that is being asked for in the TERS. That's number one. Number two, the areas that have been designated for improvement have been two areas that are non-developable, so to speak, and it's actually made for development, which you will gain from, because it's not part of the district of the TERS. It's Padre Boulevard, which is not taxed on today, but the property behind it will be, and you'll get that 100%. And the convention center, which are not taxed on today, but if we improve it, will bring additional tax base. And the entertainment district, those are three places. Now, the entertainment district is, if you look at some areas in the entertainment district because of the recession and so on and so forth, it is blighted. And I can show you pictures of that. But it's also underdeveloped. And part of the TERS is for property that is underdeveloped. Not necessarily blighted, but underdeveloped. So, that said, where the EDC is concerned, I suggested or recommended to the EDC that they disconnect, because of the issues with free entry into the burning center, that they disconnect the original long boardwalk, leave it free, and do the other boardwalks emanating out of the burning center as it was initially designed. And I said, number one, there is no history to show anything otherwise. Number two, we're not going to get off dead center unless you do that. And number three, there are more important issues we need to deal with than that boardwalk. And so they are going to take action. I am hopeful at this following meeting. It's pure coincidence that it happens to be after your meeting. They are going to take action to disconnect the long boardwalk and leave it free, period, as it was originally.
Mayor, when is that EDC meeting?
After
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
So, what I'm asking is if we could get a positive vote, subject to their decision, if you want. I want to move past the boardwalks. This is a lot more important to us than a boardwalk. Right. And so we just need to move forward and get some things done that are going to help us and you, the valley and the state.
How binding would the decision that they make tomorrow be, and for how long?
You've got a contract.
Until?
No, I told them until we can develop some history to see if there is, and even then, we'd come back and ask you. But we're not going to do any, let me tell you something, Judge and Commissioners, we're not going to do, we need the cooperation of the county.
Right.
We are not going to do anything in the future that's going to hurt that. We need cooperation from the county so that we can all benefit at some point down the line. Otherwise, we're going to stay stagnant in this.
Well, let me recommend we do this, because you all have agreed and we've agreed in principle, based on the contract, the agreement before us, to bring down our participation to equal or a little below what you're going to do. If it's okay with the court, why don't we vote on it subject to, as you recommended, the EDC's decision tomorrow to leave that long boardwalk free. And if something happens tomorrow and either if they table it or they don't vote on it, then we're back to square one on this one.
No, they're going to take action.
Okay, so need to make sure that.
And I say that, I'm
Well,
not saying I've taken a vote.
They need to do the right
but-
thing, and I agree that the boardwalk is not that big a deal, but it is to a lot of folks. And obviously, it's been here several times, and we
Judge,
don't
I'm not
want.
making a comment.
Yeah,
I want to
know.
move forward.
I know. I will.
Well, Judge, I will make the motion
Okay.
to approve this based on,
Okay, I
subject
have
to
a
it.
motion by Commissioner to approve this agreement, subject to the decisions of the EDC tomorrow or at their next meeting. And rest assured that if they do not do what you're saying, then this thing comes back and we'll have to take another vote depending on where that goes.
I understand.
Okay, so let it be clear. Okay, I had a motion. Do I have a second? I second. Okay.
I have a question. Can
Yeah,
I?
discussion.
I'm not done asking questions.
No, discussion.
Okay. The last time that this item came before us, we had Dave Gordon present with us, I believe, that day. And I'm still waiting for an answer in regards to some of the questions that were asked then. And most importantly, what impact, and maybe the auditor can help me here, will this type of commitment have on our bond indebtedness or the ability to borrow more funds in the future? Because of the fact that we're basically committing future dollars before we get them. How does this impact our ability to do and finance other projects later?
The net effect of this is that the county is committed to contributing at a minimum over the next 15 years, $12.4 million. That amount of tax valuation that should be there for the benefit of the county to use countywide will not be there. That is the net effect. Now,
So the bottom line is we're giving up about $750,000 a year
at a minimum, yes,
at a minimum,
yes.
okay?
As the county has grown, these demands have grown on the county, and the county has traditionally been faced with either going out and borrowing money and then increasing the tax rate to meet the debt obligations or to meet the demands of the population of the county, if the property valuation is not there. So you're looking at a situation where the county is committing their valuation, is giving it up to the tune of $12.4 million.
So what do you recommend?
This is, I think that the court has already moved to participate in this. I think the court should evaluate it. I think that they already have.
I'm asking
And
you what you think about this particular one right now.
I'm not prepared to answer that. That is Commissioner's Court directive. And
Then I'll ask Pete.
Well, I still want to say, I mean, if we're giving up $750,000 a year for the next 15 years, what kind of, here we are, all due respect, Mayor, doing our best to provide a second access to the island. We are trying to develop an outer loop to make the traveling public safely get into the island. We are developing a plan that is almost at public involvement level in regards to the second access. We are creatively looking for ways to see how we can fund that particular project. The main beneficiary, of course, the county will benefit from growth, definitely, but the immediate main beneficiary is going to be what happens on South Padre Island. All of these projects that we have ongoing and have invested time and many dollars on over the course of at least my last 10 years of being here have not occurred as quickly as we'd like them to because we don't have the money to do them as fast as we want to. And giving up money that could otherwise go to a transportation project, for example, is difficult for me to understand what I would want to do. Possibly having indebtedness, bonding indebtedness in a way limited because of our commitments, because I still don't know what the commitments that we currently have are going to do on the budget next year. The only thing I know is that we got a bill for $125,000 for the past, I don't know how many years on a previous TERS, you know. So I have a little bit
And that's only one of them.
and that's just one out of the ones that exist out there. So I have a little bit of skepticism in regards to doing more before I find out what fiscally and how we're going to be impacted, you know.
Commissioner, may I answer? Can I interrupt you just for a
Yes,
quick
sir.
minute? Number one, remember, this is only a total of 5% of the entire island that's in this TERS. So you're going to be receiving not only what you've been receiving from that 5%, you're going to be receiving the benefits of the appraisals of the balance of the 95%. Not to mention the fact that if we can make some improvements to Padre Boulevard, which will cause better development or more development behind Padre Boulevard, which is not part of the TERS district, that's going to be a big increase. And if we can expand that convention center, there's going to be some improvement. That second causeway goes in, there's going to be a lot of development north of the island, of the present city limits. There's going to be a lot of development that the island is going to bring through the second causeway in northern Cameron County. It's going to spur growth. It's a moneymaker. It's 16% of your tax base right now. And fortunately, you have another 84% that can help throw some cash in to help the county. So we're talking, relatively speaking, a small part. We're only talking 16%. We're talking a minuscule part of the 16% when you really get down to it. When only 5% is in the TERS, and of that 5, the convention center and Padre Boulevard is part of the TERS, which is non-taxable at this point. So while you may be giving up 750, so are we.
Let me ask a question of Marta real quick. I'm just thinking about this. So the way I understood it, or the way I understood it, are you saying that whatever ad valorem tax was in the last year, assuming zero growth, nothing, that everything stays the same, that when you budget the revenue this coming year, you're going to take that number and reduce it by the $700,000 or $800,000 that we're going to be receiving less?
We're going to have to get
Let's just, well,
Yes, basically.
Okay.
Once we get the information, that's what we're looking at, yes.
okay, so I want to make sure. Are you doing that with the other TERSs that are out there in terms of reducing that amount, or is that already just factored in just because of the historical information that we have?
And I guess to add to that, excuse me for interrupting, The judge is asking, are you going to do that, for this coming year? But has it been done in the past?
I know that one of our concerns, as well as the courts, has been that we are unable to provide the information to the court as to what the impact is. The county right now has a commitment on 7 TERS, okay? On 3 of those, the county only has a resolution in support of those. It's my understanding there is no contract. However, the county has, signed a resolution in support of this, and until we determine if the interlocal is going to be there or not, we're unable to remove that liability there, okay? One of the TERS came back and is trying to get the account information corrected. They're still working on that, and the county is committed on that to $5.9 million. Until we get the information, the account numbers, we don't know what portion, if any of that, has been collected or not, so we don't know what to set aside. And on the one that we received, the $100 and some odd thousand bill, we just got the information this year. Unfortunately, as these TERS have been approved and as they've been coming to court, I don't believe the agreements that have had the teeth in them that they need to enforce them. I think it's something that's being addressed now, but prior to that, it has not. We will factor in what we have based on the information we get. I think it would be unfair to say that right now the county is committed to, let's say, $15 million, and I'm going to pick that up as a liability. That's inaccurate, because we don't know what the progress status is of these
Let's
TERS.
talk specifically about this one, because that one we have the numbers for, in terms of the 12, whatever the number is. And again, so based on the information that you have right now, are you saying that when you do your revenue projections in terms of strictly ad valorem, that number is going to be a little under $800,000 less because of this?
That would be correct, because this TERS would take effect when? Next year?
Well, whenever it is, I mean,
Yes, it
I
would
guess
be.
I'm trying, so you're going to take that, and you're going to knock off $800,000 off our general fund revenue budget because of this?
It would be fiscally responsible to do that, because we know that even though we don't know if we have collected or that we
When you say
will collect that,
that we've collected, I mean,
well,
what do you mean?
the county is not responsible for paying any of this over to the TERS unless the county has collected it. So if these agreement gets executed and the appraisal district is unable to differentiate the property that belongs in this TERS, then we, from a fiscal standpoint, have to consider that we're going to have to at least pay X amount over to participate due to the county's participation. So that is the fiscally prudent thing to do.
In other words, the problem we had with Brownsville a couple meetings ago, I think, where they hadn't really differentiated what the TERS was and what we
Right.
should be paying, and they pop us with a bill at the last minute saying, oh, by the way, you owe us this much. And so what you're saying is we need to implement that right now to make sure there's a method and means so that we can, on an annual basis, keep track of that and require the city to report to us and have some sort of reporting requirement so that we don't get 6, 7 years down the road and get hit with a big bill.
That's correct.
Why, though, do you have to reduce by 700 or 800,000? I don't understand that.
At this point, since we do not have the mechanism in place, because we don't have the property account numbers, and I don't think the appraisal district has that information segregated yet, we're not able to set it aside. Once the appraisal district will give us the information, and they will give us the effect of the different TERS and what the increase in the valuation is. So at that point, we will know what it's not going to be, what the county is not going to collect on that. So
We're
it's
talking
not-
increase, not what we're
Yes.
taxing now.
Yes, the appraisal district will give us the information, but they have to be notified as well. In the event that they do not get notified prior to giving us the certified valuation of the properties, then that's a mechanism that I am sure SPI is going to work with the appraisal district to get implemented to where their properties get differentiated correctly so that we know what the liability is going to
A
be.
separate list.
That is correct.
But can't we make that part of the agreement to say, if we're going to participate, we're going to require you to do X, Y, and Z?
Sylvia? I think so.
But what do you want the X, Y, and Z to be? I mean,
Well,
right
that
now-
you're going to provide us a list, you're going to do it before the end of the fiscal year of, 2011. You're going to, basically not put us in a predicament where we have unknowns. We're going to know exactly what increase, if any, will be attributable only to the TERS. But if we make that part of the agreement, then we don't have to guess about,
Estimate.
let's put 800,000 aside because we're not going to be sure that, that's going to be a loss if we don't, make sure we account for it.
Let me clarify something. I'm missing something here, because number one, I think it should be part of the agreement. Number one, I don't think it has to be. I mean, that it should be there. I think it's supposed to be there, number one. Number two, if everything remains flat, there's nothing to consider.
Right.
I mean, we're assuming an awful lot by saying 800,000. We're just going by what we think the appraisals may be if Karina.
Well, that's where I'm getting a little
Yeah,
confused,
I mean,
because I just don't, because what I'm inferring here is that the property within this TERS is going to go off the tax rolls
No.
for our purposes.
No, it doesn't.
Just the
No, no.
increase.
Right,
You-
okay, hold
just the
on,
increase.
hold on. That's why what you responded, I don't think was accurate, because we're not losing $700,000.
No.
In other words, we're not, what I heard was this, and this is why I was very deliberate in how I asked the question. If you have the ad valorem tax in the last fiscal year, are you going to reduce that number by $700,000? Well, but your initial one, was yes. And that's not accurate. And that's why I've been trying to think this out, because that's why it's called the tax increment, not, going
Straight out
back.
the bottom, right.
So the $700,000 is making, or 12 million is making certain assumptions that there's going to be certain increases in appraised values. So you're not going to reduce the general fund ad valorem tax number by $800,000. You may not be able to increase it by $800,000, but it's going to stay stagnant.
Yeah.
That's
it's
correct.
frozen. It's frozen there.
Okay, well, that's not what I inferred by what you said, okay? And I'm sorry, it was my fault. Maybe I didn't ask the question clear enough, but now what I understand is that, no, we're not, you're not gonna be debiting, revenues by $800,000 next
No.
fiscal year.
No.
It may stay the same.
It may.
So we're really not losing $800,000 off what we have now. We may fail to pick it up, assuming that the increase in appraised value goes up, whatever meets that $800,000.
Right. The inability to
I understand.
collect it
Well, now I understand.
may be
I mean,
there.
And that's what I thought, but when you said that, I thought, that, something doesn't smell right, so.
And furthermore, if we reach the goals of 12 million in 5 years,
That's
it's
not a
over.
bad, yeah, that's not a bad thing.
No, not
That's
at
not
all.
a bad thing.
No,
It-
Judge-
It's over. We go on normal taxing base after 5 years if we reach our goal.
That's exactly what I was going to tell you. The interlocal does have in there that if we meet that estimated 12 million goal in 5 years or 6 years, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Right.
However, if, the 15 years happen and, that hasn't been, then that's it too. I mean, the most you're locked into is 15 years.
Right, and I think Commissioner Hernandez, I think his concern is, what is it that it's going to cost the county? It's not going to cost us anything. What it is going to cost us would be any increment, exactly what it is, any increment in that value during.
Within that district.
Yeah, within that district.
Which is important.
Until you make up the $12 billion.
Right.
So our revenues are going to stay flat, but they're not going to go down. They're going to
Well,
stay
they may stay
even.
flat, they may stay flat
Within that,
within that district.
Exactly. I understand
because
that.
you
Well, now
could
I
have-
understand.
you-
Okay.
You're going to have increases
everywhere else.
everywhere else.
What it's going to cost the county is 12 million, bottom line.
Well, assuming the certain.
Eventually.
Assuming we.
Assuming-
That's what we're going to pay if we get there.
Assuming if we get there.
In a
Right.
perfect
At the end
storm.
of 15, you only got
That's
8
correct.
million, it's over with.
Sure.
In a perfect storm, that's what it would be.
My question would be then, how do we budget for that?
You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
You don't budget it.
You don't
That's
budget
why-
any differently than you normally
Wait for the
budget.
bill.
Well, no, the only thing you gotta pay is that
Look, you
nominal,
Wait for the bill.
whatever
I mean,
that
we-
is.
We, you know, when we assess a property, we don't send the bill to the to the owner of that property saying, oh, you're in the entertainment district, so we're gonna segregate this amount of money. It's just collected, and deposited in the accounts. When the TERS does their reconciliation, they send us a bill. And then that bill is, as we got a couple of weeks ago, $125,000, right? During that period,
Brownsville.
for the increased values in
For
assessed
the
values.
increased value. Now,
Right.
yeah, I understand that.
What happened historically is we didn't have the mechanism in place so that every year they'd come
Right.
with a bill to us and say, hey, pay it. And
No,
so,
we had it in place.
It just
They
wasn't being
didn't do
complied
it
with.
by the individual.
right, so,
And Judge and Commissioners, we have met with the tax office, who has been talking with the appraisal district to start making sure that they are setting aside these accounts in these zones so that we will know, and we will know. Also, in the interlocal, we did put in additional language having to do with the submission of annual reports and the audit, and so that
Where
it
is
will get
that,
done.
Dilbia? Where is that in the interlocal? Is there an exit strategy?
Yes.
I mean, if they don't, where, I couldn't find it.
Hold on, let me get it.
So we go back, while y'all are researching, we go back to that 124,000. Over what time frame is that? Is that 8 years or 5 years, or when did that start?
I believe that was over 6 years, the billing that we have. Was it 6 or?
So really,
6 years,
had we
yes.
done it, had we been billed and done it right and whatever, it'd be about 15,000 per year that we, so far, that we would have to be, and I think what happens is that the money gets collected based on the increased appraised values, and then we cut a check back to somebody, right? And that's how this would work. So we're not out any money. We're collecting, we're like a trustee. We collect the money,
Set it aside.
set it aside, if we know what it is, you book the, the amount, and then it goes back, so we're really not out, it's not costing us anything, other than those increases.
Right.
But if we'd been done right, we would be booking that amount as a payable, as soon as we got the bill or whatever it was.
and where it costs us is when we don't set it aside and put it into the general fund and spend it.
Yes, and unfortunately, that cost us because the
Right.
people that had the TERS did not track them correctly, so.
Correct.
So, I mean, we need to make sure that the liability's in there, and if Dilbia says it's in there, I trust her.
Judge and Commissioners,
Well, I only have what I have.
you've seen me before. My name's Lance Elliott. I've worked on several of these. The city manager of La Feria and the city manager of San Benito and I met with the appraisal district about 6 weeks ago. The problem, the reason that you got the big bill from Brownsville is the appraisal district had been keeping track of the properties in the zones in Excel files, as opposed to coding them with a code so they could do a computer run and just figure out all the properties that were in the zone. The, Mr. Gomez agreed, the chief appraiser agreed that they would go back and code all the tax increment reinvestment zones in Cameron County and give each zone a specific code. So in the fall, every zone could get a run and they would know what their increase was for the previous year and they could notify the county immediately.
Judge, at the very least, I
But
would like a complete document, excuse me for interrupting, before we continue discussing this, because my document is not complete.
We have odd pages, not even,
And I checked with Commissioner Sanchez, his pages are not, I don't know if your documents are
No,
all
there was
but-
an email that was sent out, I think, by Dilbia telling us, or by Frank, that the initial document that staff prepared was incomplete, and he forwarded a completed document via email. Is that correct, Frank? Yeah, and he did that on a couple of days, yesterday or a couple of days ago.
Heck, I got my,
Your computer's down?
no,
Okay.
my computer's working, but, I didn't get that one from Frank, I got another one from Frank.
Yeah, that's the one he sent out, I think, yesterday, sometime during the
But
day.
I can read pretty fast, but not that fast. No. I like to take my time to read it. If the court wishes to vote on it, that's fine.
No, go ahead, we'll wait.
It doesn't mean right
You don't want to do it now?
30
Okay.
pages?
Well, how many pages were missing, Frank?
15?
Okay.
Half of them.
Did you get one?
We got the odd pages,
Yeah.
the even pages. It was
Even-
probably front and back, and we
They
didn't
were
get them.
copied double-sided, and we omitted the even-sided pages.
You want to give us a, well, it's all right, go ahead.
I have a question for Mrs. Galarza. When you were quoting that we have commitments on other TERS, is that including the one in Brownsville that was dissolved?
That's including the one in Brownsville that was dissolved. I don't think they've come back to court that it has been dissolved, Dilbia, is that right? We really don't know
We haven't
other
received
than,
anything.
Because I attended the meeting where I was called by Ben Medina from the Brownsville, the city of Brownsville, and we actually met and we signed the resolution where we were dissolving it. And this was due to the fact that the border wall was going up, or border fence, and so they decided to abandon it. So now, I don't know whether Ben, went as far as to let all the entities know what was happening, but I was there.
okay. Maybe we can ask Frank to communicate with them and to forward them a copy of the resolution that was approved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Talks about one, if they make changes.
Anything else? Any further discussion? Okay, I had a motion, a second. Any other motions? Commissioner Sanchez, are you ready to vote on this, or you want to read the rest of the document?
I didn't hear the motion.
Well, the motion was to, Commissioner Benavides made the motion, I seconded the motion to adopt this TERS subject to the EDC voting tomorrow to open up the boardwalk. If
The lawn, the
the
original
lawn,
lawn
leaving
boardwalk.
it free, and if they didn't do that, then we'd come back and
Correct.
void this deal.
Nice.
And that's not even on the agenda. Okay? That's not even on the agenda.
What is it?
Anything about the boardwalk.
Well,
Can we include that in the motion?
we did that subject too,
Okay.
the boardwalk.
Okay.
There's clauses.
It's part of the agenda.
And what is the participation amount, I'm sorry, that the county?
It's 75%. When they first brought this to us, they had asked that we participate 100%. We had a subsequent meeting, and I suggested that we do at least even what the city of South Padre Island was giving up, and that's how they came down to the 75%, because our tax rate is slightly higher than theirs. So we would be giving up what they would be giving up, they being the city of South Padre Island.
Okay. Is not, I haven't read this entire contract. I did see
Are we going to have
one
a special meeting
provision.
next week, do you think?
We're supposed to.
Can you, if we don't have one, can you all wait so to give members of the court the opportunity to read this again?
No,
Well,
not read
and-
it
The whole
again.
document? Well,
Read it for the
Or
first
read it
time.
for the first time. Give them out to read the even numbered pages. Thank you, Frank.
Are we on any kind of a timeline here? I mean, I know we
No.
are, but.
I know
Okay.
that,
Well,
I mean, can we do that?
Or give me a
You
few
can do
minutes
whatever
to
you want,
read it.
Judge.
I mean, if, Bruce, if y'all, I mean, do we have an out and is everything in compliance? I mean,
We put in that if if they don't submit the reports on time and present it to the court, that would be considered a material breach. And in a material breach, then we give them notice, and then we can terminate our participation in the zone.
but are we also requiring them to set up the list of properties by, property number and everything to deliver to us for our approval and all that? Or are we just
Well,
gonna?
we don't, that part has nothing to do with the county in the sense that we don't, but Jesse is already working with the appraisal district to get all that set up.
And I
So
think
that
the mayor
they do know
mentioned that.
exactly what properties will be in the zone. And then that all has to come together, because if they don't have that, and then they can't submit a bill to us, they can't submit a report to the court, and then, and it's also in there that the county will not be responsible for payment if the reports aren't submitted.
Right, but I mean, I want, before we take this on, for there to be a list in place, whether it's us creating it, them creating it, or them creating us approving it, so there's no questions as to which are the properties, 1 through 200, these are the property numbers, and this is what's in the district.
Well, I think they already have that.
We have that, and we have to do it in order for the TERS to work.
Okay. So we will
Otherwise,
have,
we're- yes.
our tax assessor collector will have that in place,
Yeah.
so that when he has to pull a list of those properties and what the increase are, it's not going to be a big deal.
I'll make sure he's got it.
That's my concern, that we don't run into the problems that we ran into with Brownsville a couple months ago.
So you have been working with the appraisal district
No,
already?
No, we definitely will. I mean,
Okay.
well, I say that. I'm sure that he has made
We-
contact.
We generated the map of the zone off the appraisal district files. So we went around each parcel, so each parcel that's in the zone has a property ID number already and a geocode already. And as soon as we give the map to the appraisal district, within a few days, they should be able, except right now, they have a lot of protests. Under normal times, within a few days, they should be able to give us a list back and say, yes, this is the list of properties.
And you say Jesse's already working as far as the tax office is concerned?
Yes.
Well, it seems like everything is
Well, we want to make
already,
sure it gets done correctly
working.
and properly.
you know,
We
towards
need-
that end, so I'd like to see this
Okay, what do y'all
go
want to do?
forward on it.
You want to move forward with it, or you want to table it? I have a motion right now to move forward with it. Any further discussion?
I would like time to read the document.
Okay, if Commissioner
For the
Benavides
next
would like
meeting.
to withdraw her motion to approve and table till the next meeting, she can do that.
I would really prefer not to.
That's
I don't know
fine,
if
I
you
don't have
have
a
a-
problem with it.
Well, look, guys, I don't want to fight over a split court over something like this, that I think everybody should be given the opportunity to read it, and it was our fault, staff's fault for not providing I read off and on part of it when I got it from Frank, but if the members of the court did not have the opportunity to read the complete packet, I think it's only fair for them to be able, I'd rather have, wait a week or so to give them the ability to vote yea or nay based on all the information versus abstaining or voting nay because they don't have all the information. So I'd rather have it tabled, give Commissioner Sanchez and Commissioner Garza the opportunity to read it, finish reading it, and then come back next week if we have a special meeting, or within 2 weeks, when we have our next regular meeting, to put it on the agenda again for thumbs up or thumbs down.
Does this affect you negatively in any way if it's held off 2 weeks?
We just need to move forward, at the appropriate time.
Okay.
But I certainly want Commissioners Court to feel comfortable with it.
I think the idea is, I don't think there's not an idea to move forward. It's just because of the things that we've encountered recently with other TERs, we want to make sure we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's. So, if it's not going to give a big negative impact on you, if you'll bear with us for our next meeting and maybe next week.
I would rather have an opportunity to support you than to have to vote no today.
I understand. No, whatever
That's
makes the
fair, and that's
Commissioners Court
exactly
comfortable.
what I want to see happen as well.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion then.
Okay. And I withdraw my second. Do I hear a motion to table for the next meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second by Commissioner Gatsa? Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Thank you. At least you didn't have to wait all afternoon for us, right?
I appreciate it, and thank you for considering it. We'll be back next week to hopefully get it
All right.
approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Public comments?
Oh, I do, Judge, I have a public comment. This morning, I attended the Texas Transportation Commission meeting in Austin. One of the agenda items was to approve projects for the pass-through program. Statewide, there was only $250 million available. And I want to let the court and the public know that the Cameron County Regional Mobility Authority received $25.5 million for the SH 550 direct connectors. The RMA, or our RMA, received by far the highest funding allocation for RMAs in the state. Additionally, they received the third highest funding allocation for the 14 projects that were approved. I want to congratulate the Cameron County RMA Board of Directors, as well as the fellow members of the Commissioners Court for their support of the CCRMA. In addition, I'd like to commend Pete and David for their good work. They not only work for this county, but they also work for the RMA, so you never see them out and about, to twiddling their thumbs. They're always working. And so the RMA and the county projects are very intertwined, and so I'd like to also commend them for their good work. Thank you.
Well, I've seen them twiddling their thumbs. Yeah, but in a good way.
Were you twiddling with them, Judge?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm a famous twiddler. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And that's glad that happened. But congratulations to TxDOT, really, and Chairman DeLisi for supporting us. Any other public comment?
I'll make a quick one. I just came from the Lower Rio Grande Development Council meeting where I attended in place of Commissioner Benavides because she was in Austin. And wow, Commissioner, you sent me to a tough meeting. They were voting on budget and it got pretty heated, but that's why I was tardy. I apologize, but they're doing some great stuff over there and really big impact on the Tri-County area. So for those of you that aren't familiar or aware, if you ever get a chance to look into that, there's a lot of good things they're doing.
Thank you for sitting in for me.
Welcome.
All right. Any other public comments? Commissioner Garza?
I went to a funeral of a World War II veteran, okay, who happened to be my oldest living uncle this week. And we're losing World War II veterans fast, folks.
Not many left.
Not many left. It was an honor to be there with these folks. It was a military funeral, and it kind of came to light the fact that they mentioned the number of World War II veterans that are lost on a daily basis across the United States, and it was just a huge number. I can't remember the exact number. So if you see one, put your hand around them because they appreciate you.
Memorial Day is Monday, so just remember to keep the men and women that have died in our thoughts and prayers. Commissioner Hernandez, any comment?
They've covered it all.
I think so, right?
Oh.
Why are we here? All right, anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, thank you. All right, thank you very much. Presentations, update on the Westerville relocation and Olmito Switchyard expansion projects, Pete?
Judge and Commissioners, real quick, just going to go through a PowerPoint presentation. Give you an update on the Olmito Switchyard and the Westerville relocation project. Working on phase 1 of the expansion of the switchyard in Olmito. This is the geogrid being installed on a road required by Customs Border Protection. This culvert construction having to do with the drainage improvements as part of the expansion.
One question. When I saw the geogrid, it brought to mind a change order. Did that get all taken care of with TxDOT?
Yes. We haven't closed out the project, but that particular change order, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And the first phase is pretty much complete. I've not verified with Union Pacific, but as of April the 24th, all switching operations by Union Pacific should have started at Olmito and ceased in downtown Harlingen. So you shouldn't see the trains blocking the major intersections in Harlingen for a long time. I mean, the train's still going through, but they're not switching in downtown Harlingen anymore. Total employees, see 14 employees. And this is because in the month of April, they were pretty much just cleaning up. The project was substantially complete in March. So they're finishing the first phase. The second phase, we've just been cleared by TxDOT to let the project June the 18th, I believe. So we'll probably be coming back to the court after getting authority at the next meeting to bid out the project. And hopefully in the next 3 months or so, complete the second phase of this project. This is just a recap of the budget with the actual, as you see, the rail built 35,900 feet, so that's 100% complete. So we're just finishing out, trying to close out the contract, and then we'll come back with a final change order for this first phase. Westville relocation project, as of the end of April, there's a borrow pit that was done at the river to utilize the material by the contractor all along the route. These are the piles been driven on the north abutment of the bridge. There's a truck hauling material from the borrow pit. This is located north of Military Highway. along the rail line. This is conduit being placed for the facility for Customs and Border Protection as required by Homeland Security. This is an area that we call the North Y. This is close to the existing rail line, close to the Expressway 77. This is materials on hand for the drainage that'll occur as part of the relocation project. This is a summary table, contract time. The contract cost, we've paid out about 25% of the amount. Contractors use about 40%. But you'll see in the next couple of months a lot of work that's going to be done by the contractor, and we'll kind of equalize the first two lines, the contract cost percentage and the contract time percentage. The embankment for the bridge, and keep in mind that the bridge will begin north of Military Highway. The embankment's about 50% done. The right-of-way preparation is just about 95%. And the silt fence about 80%. So contractors made a lot of progress. I try to go out there and get a ground tour like every 2 weeks, and every time I go, you know, it becomes even more amazing. So I urge the court, you know, anytime you've got a couple of hours, let us know so that we can give you a tour, ground tour of the project, and you'll be amazed at the level of work that we're doing out there. We had our technical meeting with Mexico this past Friday, and our understanding is that the contractor on the Mexican side was going to begin construction this past Monday. They had all the materials on hand. The contractor was going to work on the bridge. We had a conference call yesterday, so they should be out there already. Mexico has two contractors, one for the bridge and one for the rail line and their switch yard. So they should be in full operation now. This is just a quick summary as of April. A total of 61 employees just on the West Rail project, 38 of those employees being local employees. That pretty much wraps up the PowerPoint. I'm going to try and do a presentation monthly just to keep the court abreast of the progress of both of these projects.
I would encourage the board members to take that tour that Pete is offering you, because it's, you know, it's very different when you're on the ground there, seeing what's occurring, and you appreciate the change that's occurring in that area. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Let's go after the meeting, Pete.
Let's go. Got our hard hats.
All right.
Just go on the Mexican side, too.
We can do that too.
Maybe we can take a helicopter ride.
Yeah, from the island?
Get shot at.
Take the one at the island.
Anything else?
Not in their flight.
Do I hear a motion to acknowledge Pete's presentation?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Item carries. Consent items. Are there any items that any member of the court wish to take down and discuss separately?
Judge,
Yeah.
just table item X.
Item X, table.
Item Z,
Hold on. Item X, the travel?
Yes,
Okay.
table it. Item Z, approved without overnight stay.
Okay.
And item 00, we made a mistake, the travel dates should be June the 12th through the 16th.
Well, that's one, I'm going to pull that one. Is that the one that Martha, you were going to as well, or you're not going to go?
She is, but she's going on behalf of the RMA. So that's an RMA expense, not a county expense. So that's why I'm tabling that.
So she needs to get permission from the RMA board?
Right, yes.
Okay. All right, any other things?
R and S. U,
R, S, U,
W.
U, W. You're on that iPad again.
That's it for me.
Go what? You're on the iPad again, right?
Yeah.
Anything else?
They haven't given it to us yet.
On the, no, that's it. Anything else?
Move to approve the rest, Judge.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Gatsa, do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Hernandez, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item R, consideration authorization to execute a license agreement between Cameron County Parks and We Are Graduating for the use of the Bob Clark Center for implementing a summer youth program. Commissioner?
Just, well, we could take R and S together.
Okay.
My only question on that for legal is this like any other lease agreement? I mean, we're not actually participating in any of the policy or any of the function. They're just using our facilities.
That's correct.
Okay. And from what I understand, it's like a summer recreation type thing?
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So move.
By Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any
And,
discussion?
I think that the only discussion I would have is that, you know, at some point in time, hopefully we'll have an opportunity to hear from the benefits of the WAG program to our community, because there's about 1,000 communities that would like the opportunity to be part of this program that are not, you know.
You know, Commissioner, if it hadn't been for them to step up to the plate and come and offer their service here, I think this would have been the first year that, at least since I've been here, that we wouldn't have had a summer youth program out at the Bob Clark Social Service Center. And they're putting up staff, they're feeding the kids,
Everything.
and they're gonna be long hours, so, we look forward to having a successful summer program.
Yeah, and I hope that, I don't know if Tommy Ramirez is here or not, you know, but these are the type of things, you're here, you know, these are the type of things that occur when you make relationships with folks that don't know where they're gonna develop into. And and this program, from what I've read about it, is a type of program that we'd all like our kids to have during the summer, to stay busy with, so it's a great opportunity, you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
That gives you a little overview.
Good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Rosalind Gracia, and I'm the South Texas representative for WAG. And I'm also working with the Life Changing Youth Summit, which is a subcategory of our organization. Like you said, there are a lot of communities that would like to have our program go into in the Rio Grande Valley. I'm actually working on, this summer, we're looking at Brownsville, and San Benito Boys and Girls Club is also another organization that we're helping for this summer. We're looking at keeping our program through an after-school. Hopefully, with the city of Brownsville, we can get that going. And then next summer, I look to expand to the Upper Valley. So right now, I know we've never had it down here in South Texas, so it's a trial and error this summer, see how it goes, see how it works, and hopefully we can move on. I know it's been running in Dallas already, and it's already in Mississippi and Louisiana and West Texas. So hopefully, if it goes well here, I'll be expanding more into the regions as far as Laredo and Corpus Christi.
Well, we have a lot of other areas in Cameron County that we'd love to have you in, you know,
San Benito, Harlingen,
Harlingen.
Santa
Yes.
Rosa La Feria.
everywhere. So we
Yes.
look to the success of this summer so we can build on that.
Yes, hopefully, I know there's many children here in the Rio Grande Valley that really need a stable program for summer, especially when parents are working so many hours and there's not enough time and what to do with your children. And as they get older, I know it's harder to leave them at home alone and with everything going on now in the 20th century.
And, you know, probably something that should be noted was, you know, the fee for this for the child is $1 per day for everything.
It's
For
$1
3
a day.
meals.
And it feeds them their 2 meals? Or 3?
We're doing 3 meals a day.
3 meals a
Yes.
day.
Can't beat that.
Keeps them occupied.
If you're only younger, right?
We could send our county employees too.
All right. Any questions?
We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so
It's really a
much.
good program for us.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Rosalind.
Thank you so much.
We approved those already, right?
Yes.
Okay. You?
I just
Yeah.
had a question on you. It says,
That's, environmental purchasing policy. Michael?
Brand new.
I returned your call, by the way.
I know.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you? There was no backup, and I just wondered what the policy was. Really? Oh.
You gave me one.
Okay.
I don't have the follow-up. Thank you, Mike.
This has probably been long overdue, but we've been looking at what the government's pushing, as well as the state, as well as the incentives for going green and trying to save the environment and help to reduce emissions, conserve water, and be more efficient. Some of the restrictions or hindrances over several years back was at the time when green or environmentally friendly items were put out on the market years back, it was cost prohibitive. There were some quality concerns, and there was a limited selection, which led to less competition than we would like to see. However, over time, I think we are at the point now where all of those obstacles have been overcome, and we're now at the point where we feel like we can entertain an environmental process and still have it be cost-effective for the county and not adversely impact the overall budget. We've met with several there was one other area we felt was a weakness years back. How do we accurately monitor our progress if our goal is to go green? How can we track that? In that second handout I presented to you, we have many vendors now that have the software that not only show us what items we're buying on a monthly or quarterly basis, but they can also give us our green alternatives and make cost comparisons for both green and non-green items so that the county can see the difference in pricing. As far as green purchases, I'd like to touch on a few things that I believe has been beneficial to the county. When we started looking at green, we moved to concentrates with our janitorial chemicals. And we found not only saving in time for the janitorial employees, but we found savings in price as far as chemical cost. A good example is when we went to the hand cleaner in the bathrooms. We were replacing the liquid hand soap once a week, which not only increased labor, but it increased the cost of the soap. We replaced that with what you've probably seen is a foam soap. Now we're down to once every 3 months on the
Reduces
foam
waste.
soap, and at a lot lower price. We're also looking at, and we've had some studies done, and I'd like to bring this to the court as part of this policy, but if we could entertain, which many cities and county school districts have done recently, going to the recycled toner cartridge. We've had a study which shows what we can do cost-wise recycled versus the virgin cartridges we're using in our printers and copiers. And we can actually save the county between $60,000 to $70,000 by going to recycled cartridges. There's some other areas which we've actually undertook last year, and I'd like Robert to address some of those as far as some of the county buildings and what we're doing to go green, as well as how we're working on trying to conserve water at several of our county locations. So if you'd like to address some of those, Robert.
Judge Commissioners, thanks, Mike. A few things that we've done, I guess, in the past year, you know, we have received a couple of grants to go green, little green energy conservation. We've installed 2 solar arrays, one at the Harlingen Annex and one at the San Benito Annex. We're looking at installing some wind turbines also at some county park facilities. And on the building maintenance side, what we've also done is we've done the numerous amount of light retrofits from like T12 bulbs magnetic ballast to electronic ballast, moved down to a T8 light, which of course is more energy conservative. We're looking at trying to install a lot more of energy, conservation measures throughout the building, different controls. We had a conversation not too long ago, Mr. Sepulveda, about ACs and making sure that they're shut off, putting timers and controls. Those programs are a little sophisticated, but they're out there and they're able, they're within reach. So I think those are things that we need to continue to look for and implement them as much as possible. One thing that we are looking at, of course, is trying to install automated controls, lighting, HVAC systems, to where the control is out of our hands. It's all purely automated. That way, we're going to be, we're going to guarantee that those lights shut off at a certain time. One thing we've done in the past also that's worked for the San Benito Annex is we've installed a timer on the lighting. So after, I believe, 9 p.m., the lights go off with the exception of the emergency lighting. And that I've spoken to the auditor's office, and that actually has a substantial amount of savings. On the water side, what we looked into just recently is waterless urinals, which don't require any water. There's a chemical solution. It's a newer technology.
Is that an outhouse?
Yeah. And it's
How are those panning out?
seem to be working fairly well. Haven't had any complaints. We have building maintenance has installed some, purchased some. Parks has bought some, and as well as the bridge system for trial, and I have not received any complaints. So, of course, the energy conservation side, they don't take any water at all other than a chemical that's put into them, and they seem to be working fairly well. So, and also, I think last year, November, if I'm not mistaken, we did adopt a green resolution through the ERA Act, and it was required to receive some grant funding, to adopt that. So we are looking forward with a lot of, energy conservation measures, and as we continue to move forward. So there are a lot of newer technologies that are continually approaching. So.
Well, I think, changing thermostats to electronically shut off and, for nighttime and weekend will probably save us a lot of money.
Just as simple as maybe like a motion occupancy sensor in like a restroom. The ones that there's some now that actually have thermal and actually noise indicators. Before it was just strictly motion. So you walk into a restroom and you happen to be in a stall, there's no motion, it shuts off. Now it's, completely newer technology where it actually shoots an infrared, so it senses body heat and of course sound, so that it won't shut off. Of course, nobody's in there.
Sound.
Yeah, so if nobody's there, it'll definitely shut off. And I'm talking about the PM hours, because there are a lot of times when, I think various employees come into these buildings or various buildings and see all these lights turned on and left on, and it's just really a waste. So those are things that we're looking into, and of course, being budget conscious, we're trying to, take it step by step.
Great. Good job, guys.
Robert, would this look more of a proactive approach before the state requires us to have an environmental policy in place?
We are.
I hope that was the real purpose of this, to kind of preempt that problem.
Yes, sir. Yes, Commissioner. There is actually a House bill that requires us to track our carbon footprint and the reduction of the emissions. And every month we do track, our expenditures and what we're doing. And not only the actual consumption, but the actual cost of kilowatt per hour. And that's something, Mike and I work on very closely with Marco Arredondo, who's our energy consultant. And, we've gone out for competitive bids. And, but as far as cost, consumption plays a huge role in it.
Yes, it does.
So, for example, the San Benito Annex with the solar array that's been put on, we're looking at very minimal consumption as far as coming right off the grid, with the panels should offset that quite a lot. So we're looking forward to those savings as well.
One of the crucial tools in all of this was the capability of tracking and determining if we're achieving our goals. And in that second handout, you can now see that the vendors can show our performance on a monthly and quarterly basis as to what we're doing, how much we're spending on green, and where we still have room to improve. In that software, it'll actually give us targets that we can focus on, evaluate products, bring them in, and if they work as well as they're supposed to, then we have a goal to shoot for. Before I forget, another key component to this, and when I dropped this off yesterday, I was talking to Commissioner Garza. We were talking about in the area of construction and grants, we need to focus on ensuring that our architects or engineers have a green component and a green focus in their project scope so that we know that long-term,
We're
we're trying to
covered.
be efficient. We have a building that's efficient so that the county can reduce its long-term electric costs. And so that's something we want to look for when we undertake some of these projects, is to ensure that they have that focus or component built into the scope of these projects as well.
Would that then mean that we couldn't have a beautiful building like our annex in Harlingen that has a lot of glass? I mean, that's a beautiful building, but we would probably lose out on having something like that, right, because of the energy?
Ultimately, they would bring ideas to the court, but it ultimately is the court's decision as to how far they want to take this.
Okay, but this policy wouldn't mandate that?
No, sir.
Okay.
I think that one of the discussions that we had was in the new jail facility that recently was completed and occupied, part of the green effect of that building, allowed the designer to take a tax credit of $86,000 or so. And we need to be part of the bonuses or credits or whatever. And if they're gonna be there and we're gonna be initially paying for green construction so that they can qualify for a credit,
They should
we ought
pass
to
along the
get
savings.
at least a 50% share of that credit and reduction of fees of whatever, because we're footing the bill for all this to happen. So we need to make sure that when we do go out and do these facilities and require these things in place, that part of our agreement with these folks is that if there are any potential governmental benefits that they will get, that we share in those as a county, so we can put back into the same effort. And then, of course, you can always turn off the switch. We need to remind our folks to turn off the switch in their offices when they're not occupied.
Well, we're looking at lighting as well.
Like when you go to lunch?
I'm turning off my computer at night now.
Thank you, Judge.
Anything else? Questions? No? Do I hear a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Item W, consideration and action to adopt an interlocal co-op agreement between Cameron County and City of Rio Hondo for the scofflaw. Who pulled that one out?
I did.
Yes, sir.
I had a question on it. I know scofflaw's been implemented. I don't know if the tax.
Let me ask you first, who is here from the tax office that can answer Commissioner Sanchez's question?
Surprised they're always here.
Yeah, they're always here. There's no one here that can answer your question.
Move to
You wanna
table.
table it? Moved by Commissioner Sanchez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item X has been tabled. Item Z with the correction, we've approved that. Item 00, I guess my question is, there's an agenda item on, to discuss about and let me go to that one now, because they're kind of related. It's item 4M, as in Mary, request from the Cameron County Treasurer for a quarterly investment report as required by Government Code Section 2256.023. Commissioner, that was yours. And I guess my question on the travel was if this is related to these investment reports that we're supposed to be getting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
That's a report that's submitted every month to you. You can see it's stamped. You all see that as part of the investment and the monthly report that we do from that office.
Is this supposed to be well, Commissioner, this was your item.
Well-
Go ahead.
My question was, this report does not tell me what we have invested in the different pools that we've authorized for investment vehicles while the
point-
money is holding.
Yes, okay, well, at this point, this investment pool gives you has historically given you the best return for your money. Now, in the past,
The now account?
no, sir, if you look back, okay, let me see. If you look back toward the end of that report, well, let's look at the transmittal letter first.
Okay.
okay, which is the second page. At the bottom of that, of the statement that I make there, it says that it also, that there's an investment report there, okay? And that report, it complies with the Public Funds Investment Act. Okay? And then if you look closer toward the end of that, you'll see the investment accounts. After the bank accounts, you see the investment account. And I discussed this with...
Is that all investment accounts, David?
Yes. I discussed this with at that, I don't know if you remember, Commissioner, back in 2007, we discussed this before on the monthly reports, because no treasurer had done monthly reports, they were doing quarterly. And we discussed that with Richard Burst, who was your civil attorney at that time. And he recommended that I do it this way. We both agreed, and he recommended that. And also in saving and going green, like Mr. Lopez also said, and it's the Obama initiative to go green, I've reduced it to a certain number of pages, because you reproduce that 14 times, and, you know, so every 5 pages that I put in there it comes out to 75 or a little bit less than that. I also discussed this report with Bruce, your civil attorney, and he says that we agree that it complies with all elements of that. And actually, it exceeds what the quarterly reports, if you look at what you submitted with or what was submitted, section 2256.003.
Right.
Internal management reports, not less than quarterly. Okay.
So monthly was,
It exceeds that requirement. So y'all have been kept abreast real good on that information.
Where
And on
would-
the travel report.
well, can
okay.
I ask on this one
Sure.
first? You know, and I'm looking at the all investments account, and I've made known in the past that I don't understand all this, you know, financial stuff very
No.
well. But I remember knowing or getting reports, and I think the last one was from you, David, that we had made a certain dollar amount on our investments, like how much we made for having in the Lone Star pool or the First Public Lone Star pool section, so much money. Is that, I mean, where do I find that in this report?
Well, this report, you see how much you make, it gives you the interest. On the bank account, it gives you the interest. And then on the investment report itself, if you go to the investment report, on the last part of it, it tells you the interest earned that month.
So the very, next to the last column is what we make, right?
Yes.
So in the month of March, we made $4,012.60.
Yes, and I've looked at CD rates right now.
On 21 million.
I've looked at CD rates, and these, the rate that this pool gives us is better than a CD rate. Remember the investment policy, which was also part of your depository contract, which was presented a couple of months ago, and I don't know where the status of the depository contract is, but
Checks in the mail.
yeah, but the depository contract included the investment policy, and so you all saw it there again a couple of months ago, and you approved it basically also again. And the investment policy says basically we want to continue to protect the principal. We want to keep the money liquid, and so that we can, you know, move it quickly. And also we want to get as good a yield as we can. And I've gotten some CD rates from some local banks, and this fund exceeds those rates also in paying interest. And the interest rate is determined by, well, the Federal Reserves and all that, so interest
So
rates aren't what they
This is
used
the
to.
best rate that you could find for us,
In the investment pool, yeah. And this
based
money
on
stays,
liquidity and
Right.
being able to
right,
get to it?
So then all of these dollars are in the Lone Star pool.
yes, sir.
not BBVA Campus Bank. Right?
Well, the first report that states our bank accounts is BBVA. I'm not sure which one you're looking
I'm
at.
looking at the last two pages.
What does it say? Yeah, it's the
All
investment.
investments.
Right,
All those investments are in the Lone Star pool.
right. And the Lone Star Pool diversifies their money, and they have two money managers, which is different from other pools. They have the Bank of New York Mellon, and they have American Beacon, which, American Beacon is based in Fort Worth. Bank of New York Mellon is based, well, in New York, but the Mellon group is, I think they were just taken over by the Bank of New York. They were out of Pittsburgh. And they make sure that they comply with all Public Fund Investment Act, Texas Public Fund Investment Act, and our local investment policy. They have a copy of that. So
And
they
this-
can't do anything unless it complies with that.
And these deposits are in compliance with our policy that we approved?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, just so that I can be straight. The third page, David, which is the first page like this, those
Okay,
are
you mean-
our
Okay, go ahead.
BBVA Compass Bank Now accounts.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do those draw any interest?
Yes, I do.
What column would that be reflected on? D,
I don't
E,
know what-
G,
how do you-
H, I, J?
No, they don't have the interest. I'll have to.
It's not on there?
We had a category, like I say, we're just had a situation where staff member are leaving, but we used to have a category in here for interest, but we can get that back.
Okay.
On a daily basis, we're gaining interest on this money that's sitting there, right?
But the investment account, the Lone Star investment pool, they accumulate the interest daily and pay monthly. So at the end of this month, they accumulate it, and then they pay the balance at the end of the month.
Okay. So you can add a column to show us that on
Sure.
the other one. That would be
Absolutely.
good, that way.
Yes, I know, we discussed that today, and we're gonna be working on that.
We're gonna need bigger paper.
Yeah, well, we've been trying to minimize the amount of paper that we use,
Or
and
smaller print.
I would recommend we go paperless too.
What is the
Smaller
percentage?
print, we can barely read with.
Just real quick, what is the percentage of, I can't get it to work on my phone, the $4,013 on the 21 million? What's the percentage of that?
Well,
I mean, doesn't seem like, it just doesn't seem like, take 4,013.
it's about 20,
and-
it's about 20 basis point, 22
No, it
basis
can't-
points.
It can't be. Take 4,013 divided by the 21,225 and see what that rate is. Well, that seems like awfully low, that we've only earned,
Everybody.
4,000. Well, I don't know about
mean,
everybody, I'm sorry.
Everybody's very low.
Huh? Yeah, it's .00018. It's not 18%, it's not even 1.8%. Yeah, divided by 21 million. It just seems awfully low.
But that's the
on-
rate
On
that.
$21
that-
million.
That's the rate, that's, like I say, in Texas,
Yeah, it's point
Rounded
what?
to the nearest thousand to zero.
Hold on, it's what? Okay,
Yeah,
then
it's-
multiply that times 12.
it's 20 basis points, and that's the rate, like I say.
That's .002268.
Yeah, that's not 20 basis points. It's like 2 or less than 2
It's
basis
not
points.
20%, it's 20 basis points.
Yeah,
Well, but that even still,
but a basis point is a percentage of
One
1%.
100th of 1%, it's 20 basis
so,
points.
and you're sure that that's the best rates that we're getting?
I can give you a comparable figure, we look at it all the time, and
Wow.
that's the best rate right now,
Okay.
that's the
So-
market.
So in other words, if you had $21 million to invest,
The
to put
best
in your
rate you're
bank
gonna
account,
get
you
is
know-
$48,000.
Hey, well, I could get my guy from Morgan Stanley to come over if you want.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, this is awful.
But then we're risking a lot of
We
money.
can't, but you gotta realize that we have to work within the confines.
It doesn't make sense.
You have to realize that we have to work within the confines of the Public Funds Investment Act, we can't take higher risks than that, and I wouldn't recommend that either. These
So
are the.
what rate is the going rate right now for the type of fund that we have to invest in on these dollars? I mean, is it like, on a yearly basis, don't give me the basis stuff, give me the, like, 1.5% or?
No. Well, on a yearly basis, I checked some of the CD rates, and I think it is a little bit more than, well, actually, 18 months was I think 1.2%.
Can we do an 18-month CD, though?
Well,
don't think we can.
the investment policy
I don't think we can.
doesn't, they allow
Right.
for that.
What's the maximum amount, 6 months?
Well, yeah, a year or, even the 6-month rate on CDs were at 0.15 or 15 basis points. So we're at 19 or 20 or 22, it's still better.
But the thing is, though, that if that's the case, if we were at that rate you just said, 21 million for a year would give us $318,000. If you divide that by 12, that should be like $26,000 per month, but this only reflects
Yes,
$4,000.
This only, right. And this only reflects what's in the investment. We also have the now accounts and the
No, but
interest rate.
I'm only taking the 21 million number.
Well, that's the amount that we're getting, and that's the rate
That
that,
doesn't seem right.
well, Commissioner, I mean, you can come to our office or call me, and I'll send you additional information, and so that you can get a better grasp of what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Because,
Okay, and on the travel item, I think they put on the 13th.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, no, yeah, on
It's
that
the
one,
12th.
that's what, yeah, we got
It's the
that taken
12th,
care of.
okay.
To make sure that's what you were going to go do, is learn on this stuff.
Yeah, well, we're doing real good right now.
Ask them if they know of any better places to invest. When
Yeah.
you're there, see what
Well,
they say.
And there's really, not within the confines of this, of the rules, the laws, the Texas laws that we have to follow.
Well, and then we also have our own policy, right?
Right.
That we enacted.
That you all approve, and you saw it again with a depository contract.
it just doesn't seem that $21 million invested in that pool at 1.5%,
Less than 1%.
you know, would make like almost $400,000. And here, we're only making like $48,000 a year with that investment.
Well, we'll look at it again, and we'll give
Maybe
you
the numbers are off a little bit.
But the percentage rate is correct. I mean, it is about 20 basis points, and it keeps fluctuating every month. It may change, and you got to recall that I think the Fed rate has gone down to, or rather, like the T-bill rate for 3 months, the yield is down to about 5 basis points. So it's 1/4 of the interest that we're making right now. And that's the federal T-bill rate for 3 months.
Maybe I need to go to the conference in Dallas.
I think you
Learn.
should. Well, Martha's going to go.
We'll amend this to add you,
No,
Commissioner.
thank you, man.
Well, Martha's going to go, so check it out.
Okay, well, thank you, and anytime y'all have a question, just
Okay.
come by the office or give me a call, and I appreciate.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Let me go back to the travel item, 00. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatz. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Action items, budget amendments, transfers, salary schedules.
Judge, Commissioners, the budget amendments were placed in front of you. The first one is a budget amendment. The next 2 pages are line item transfers. They are operational for the most part. On the budget amendments, you have Constable Precinct 2, who's going to use $13,000 of fund balance in his forfeiture fund, and that's going to be set up in specific line items. The district clerk is using some of their child support fund balance, $1,560, to meet some of the operational needs. And the following 2 pages are line item transfers for program development, county court at law 2 and 3, the DA's hot check, the DA drug forfeiture, public works, and Constable Precinct 4 drug forfeiture for your approval. There are no salary schedules.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Sanchez. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Claims.
Claims, I have payroll dated May 27th for $1,670,210. Warrants number 258978 through 259155. Warrants number 259159 through 2592, I'm sorry. Warrants number 259159 through 259480. In there is included a claim that I need to void, which is warrant number 259438. I'd also ask the court to approve a claim to Reiner Construction for $55,246.50. That goes back to warrant number 259438, which was voided. We were unable to run it prior to Commissioner's Court for your approval. Also, there is ACH for electronic payment for medical claims for $78,228.04 for your approval.
So,
I recommend yes.
so moved with changes. Sorry.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Benavides. Discussion?
One question. On this single check register you gave us,
Yes.
what is that $54,000 loan?
That is a loan that was run from general fund for the housing grant that is being administered by the Brownsville Economic Development Council and Harlingen Economic Development Council. That is a disaster recovery funding, and it is on a reimbursement basis.
So it's listed as loan just so that you can figure out where to take it from?
Pay it
It's
back.
coded as a loan, yes. It
Okay.
is charged to the due to from
Oh.
account.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Please note my abstention on the claims I provided. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, item carries.
Excuse me, my apologies to the court for not getting the check registers out sooner. It's my understanding we had a program difficulties and were unable to generate the check registers timely, but everybody, I'm sure, received it.
We're
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Minutes, April 14th regular, April 28th regular. Are they ready for approval?
Or last night.
Do I hear a motion to table?
So moved.
By Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa, to table till the next meeting. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Discussion, item D, discussion and possible action regarding the process selected JP. We talked about the cutoff, Pete, was the 19th? I'm sorry, May the 29th. How do you all want to proceed in doing that in terms of all the applications? So I was thinking about having Human Resources give all members of the court all the applications, and then having each member narrowing it down to 5, and then interviewing those 5, unless you want to appoint a committee to evaluate and then bring us the top 5 candidates. However you all want to do it. Don't matter to me.
Each of us, you're saying, would pick 5, and then whichever 5 we each pick, we'd interview 25 people if they were all different?
No, because there's only 10 applicants.
Oh, okay.
There's only 10 or 12 applicants. If you want to interview 25, you can.
Well, it's
No, I
not,
was
it's not
thinking-
over yet.
No, but I was thinking that, if there was a common, let's say, 4 of everybody, those are the 4 we interviewed. Because if everybody agreed to those 4, to do that, unless you all want to interview all 10 or 15 applicants, it's whatever y'all want to do.
I have a question before we start interviewing. Are you saying we're gonna follow the same criteria that we had discussed at the previous meeting and adopted?
No, because we opened it up so everybody could apply. So we did not set it just for attorneys. So we changed that. I
So
think
it's
you were
been
absent
changed.
that meeting.
Yeah, we opened it
We
up.
changed that.
Open season.
Yeah, we
That was
changed
last
that.
Monday meeting or last?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we
I'm
changed
sorry, I
that
was
to
out.
do
Yeah.
that. But I think the consensus of the court was still to try or attempt to find an attorney, but everybody could apply at that point.
But it's open to all?
It's open to all, that's correct.
Just wanna make
I would request permission to bring in the fact that this is a precinct 1 and 2 attorney. It's my district and Sophia's, so we'd like to see whoever gets appointed come from
Well, they have
our
to,
district. Okay,
They
I
have
just want to make
by
sure.
statute.
they have to live in the district,
Okay, good.
yeah, they have to live in the district. I mean, how do y'all want to do it?
And you wanna do a committee of 2? I don't have a problem, I mean,
How do y'all want to, do you want to do it like that? Does everybody, pick, how many applicants have there been so far? Where's Robert?
About 20.
Pete, do you know off the top of your head? About 10?
So far, a little more.
You want to take maybe the top, everybody look at them all and pick the top 5? And
Every-
then see if we agree on the
Basically the
5, and
same.
then after that, go to the next 5? You want to do that?
That's fine, I mean.
Okay, why don't we
whatever
do
you
that?
want,
Can you
Unless
ask-
the Brownsville commissioners want to narrow it down, and then we just look at the top 5, I mean, whatever, I don't have a,
I'd like to see the list first.
Why don't we,
Before I say
look,
that.
so there's no accusations of anything. Let's just do everybody take look, these are not precinct monies that pay for this. These are general fund monies, and everybody participates in that. So everybody just take the top 5 and then bring them back, and if we have a common denominator among, who knows, maybe only 4 we all agree, and then we just interview those. Or whoever's got 3, as an example.
Sounds
That's fair.
good.
That way, everybody can participate in the process. Okay? Let's do that, so.
What is the deadline?
Well, Pete said it was the 19th, I'm sorry, 29th, which is,
Sunday.
okay, so by Friday, why don't we extend it one more day?
Well,
Monday,
to 2 days, to Monday, because of the holiday.
Yeah, till Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
Which is 31st.
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
You guys, okay, 31st?
Judge, are you speaking of turning in your choices to the county administrator?
Applicants.
That, yeah, everybody looks at all of them and then turns it over to the county administrator.
We pick our top 5, and then he'll,
Yeah, give them to him, then we'll put an executive session item on to interview the, in other words, he can go ahead and collate the information. These are the 5 that everybody chose, and then we interview those.
Okay, but here's my whole point, just so that there's no quorum passing on this, these 5 that everybody chose will be
Independent.
anonymously
That's right.
picked in the sense that no 3 or more commissioners are agreing on those.
I'm gonna give
We're
him,
just
here's my
picking them
5.
and giving them to the.
He
to
gives
the-
them, here's my 5, then he will
we can do
collate.
sealed ballots if you want.
Well, I just wanted to make sure from a procedural viewpoint, we didn't have any discussion about that or, note comparisons and stuff like that that could get us in trouble under the Open Meetings Act. That's all.
You got it. Thanks, Bruce. Yeah, we'll do that. So when you get the 5, look at them. I mean, when you get whatever applicants, pick the top 5, give them to Pete. Pete will collate, the 5, and then we can set it up whenever we're ready to have a meeting to discuss an executive session.
Just email the applications to us instead of bringing us a stack.
However y'all
this
want to do
big
it.
and,
Just get the 5, okay? All right. And then we extend the deadline to May the 31st at 5 PM. Correct? All right. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge discussion? Moved by Commissioner Sanchez.
Second.
Do I have a second by Commissioner Benavides? Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item E, I've asked for it to be tabled. Do I hear a motion to table?
moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Sanchez. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carries. Consideration approval of interlocal agreement between Cameron County and City of Primera regarding the reconstruction of Primera Road. Pete?
Judge, Commissioners, this is a project that we've been working on with the City of Primera and TxDOT, I believe since 2004. We finally were able to find a mechanism to fund the expansion of the road from Expressway 77 to Steer Place Road. If y'all recall, when we went through the approval of the bond issue, we included funding for this project. City of Primera has an advanced funding agreement with TxDOT that's been amended twice because the original agreement goes back to 2005. TxDOT is putting the bulk of the funding for this project. The project is environmentally cleared, the right-of-way is in place. Utility relocations, I believe, are going to be minor, but the city and TxDOT are undertaking those. So you should have a copy of the agreement in your packet that was approved, reviewed by our legal department. So staff's recommendation is for approval of this interlocal agreement.
Pete, what's the total cost of that project?
Right now, it's about $6.8 million.
6.8.
And TxDOT, the last meeting we had with the city, county, and TxDOT, when they let it, they might look at doing 2 or 3 different alternates, eliminating some of the work, so that we can make sure that we bring the project to within budget. So The prices, unfortunately, on some of the road construction projects are starting to go up. Materials, we're seeing that in our public works department. You know, there's 2 projects, talked to Louis today about that. We've seen about a 10 or 15% increase in materials, so not sure how the bid's gonna go, but TxDOT move it up. Now they're saying that they can let the project in August, so it'll happen pretty quick.
So the check's already done from the city to TxDOT?
It's in the process. I think it's due the middle, 3rd week of June, so.
We got the mayor here.
Got the mayor here, man. And you said it never happened, Mayor?
Sir?
You said it never happened, remember?
I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't say that. The thing is, we just had our meeting here a few days ago, and we just approved $2 million out of the city. So we jumped it up because the costs are going up. Please give me the opportunity to get this passed for me, because I really need it, because there's a lot of growth out in this city. We brought our population up to 4,000. We could probably do more than that when that road gets completed. We've got a lot of acreage out there. We're bringing businesses in now because they hear what we're trying to do, so it's big for us. We've been trying to do this for a long time.
We'll make a motion to approve it.
I second.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion?
Just wanted to let the board know that we did issue our bonds, and we're gonna have our money by June the 8th. We issued $2 million in bonds for the project.
Awesome, thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Let me go to a consent item.
And this
that-
was done without a terse.
Yeah.
Okay?
Can I say something? Thank you very much.
Got it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let me go to a consent item that it was a supplemental consideration authorization to utilize a buy-board co-op purchasing agreement to purchase one one-ton crew cab truck 4x4 long bed with dual wheels on rear axle. It was on the consent part. Anybody want to discuss it, or do you want to approve it?
Move to approve.
Which department was it for?
That's Health Department.
Department? Okay.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Sanchez. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, item carries. Thank you. Let's go back to item G, consideration action to rescind award of bid number 110401, category B4, pickup trucks as per agenda item 3DD dated 5/12. Anybody have any questions?
Are we awarding it to the next lowest bidder?
It's the same item.
That's what the same, that's why I took it up before.
Okay.
Okay, do I hear a
So
motion to
moved.
rescind by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Sanchez? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item H, consideration approval to adopt an illicit discharge and connection stormwater order as required by Cameron County Stormwater Management Plan, Section 7.5.
H and I are together, right?
Judge and Commissioners.
You want to take I together, too? Is that part of the same thing?
Yes, sir.
Consideration approval to adopt an erosion and sediment control order? Okay.
In your packet of information, there's 2 orders for your consideration. This is, as you know, in the memo indicated in your packet of information. It's a summary there of pretty much where we're at with the stormwater plan that Cameron County adopted in 2008. We're in our 4th year already, and there are certain regulatory requirements that we need to meet under that plan. One is, of course, this order that we have, the 2 orders today. And it is a mandate from EPA and TCEQ, and we've been working on it for a while. And I think it is a good document. This will give the county authority to not only to develop, but also implement and enforce requirements under the TCEQ mandate. And I won't go into it in detail, but it is pretty simple, straightforward. The first order has 25 sections to it. It's pretty simple to read. I think the language is pretty straightforward, and therefore I would recommend that the court consider it, adopt and approve this order so that we can move on with the rest of this year and the 5-year mandate that the state has required of us. Any
What
questions?
kind of training are the individuals that will do the enforcement have, Ernesto?
As a matter of fact, we already sent a couple of people out for training. You have to be a certified construction inspector and/or manager. Alex has already taken an 8-hour course, as he's my assistant, and also Mr. Rick Bennett has taken the necessary training. So we're ready to once adopted, to start gradually implementing the requirements. It's, right now, we're in a voluntary type of thing, but eventually it's gonna come down to where we do need to enforce the regulation, and this orders will give us the necessary tools to do that. And so I highly recommend that we do that. It's something that is gonna have to be done.
So we're going to have the ability to suspend discharges, the MS4s and things of that sort. The individuals that are
Yes,
that are badged or that will have the authority to do all of that.
That's correct, and the regulation gives us that authority, once approved by Commissioner's Court. There will be another one coming up, but it will be another month. We're still working on it. That's a post-construction ordinance or order. We'll bring it back to Commissioner's Court for that one. That'll be for the construction, post-construction
Do we,
phase.
for example, on the spills that occur out in the county area,
Yes.
hazardous materials and such, are we going to be required to be out there by within a certain time frame?
Respond time. Once noted that there is a condition, we need to respond to it, make a report, and report it to the appropriate agencies. We won't have the staffing to do the cleanup and that sort of thing, but we can, we can implement a policy or something where we can have, say, an outside consultant or contractor to do that. Right now, what we're looking at is primarily pollutants going into the stormwater system, be able to control that, so that we can have a better bodies of water out there in the county.
I mean, this takes us into a whole new arena.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And this is the first step in doing that. Mandate.
It's mandated, yeah, so.
And we kind of started off easy. We don't have a lot of, for penalties and stuff like that, but there is something there that will get us started. We can always amend it as we go along. It's a working document.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
To approve by Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. On the erosion one, item A, same thing?
Yes, sir. It's pretty the same thing, but different condition. That's for pre-construction, pre-development construction phase type of thing. If you disturb more than 1 acre of surface in the pre-development stage of, say, a subdivision, there is certain requirements you need to meet, and this order carries that.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second by Commissioner Hernandez? Any discussion?
Question. If, for example, a roadside bar ditch is being redone, and in totality is more than 1 acre, does your own department have to comply with all these rules?
Public Works, which normally does that work, we will need to have an internal permit to address that. And basically, if you disturb, we're already doing that, actually, Commissioner.
Okay.
Unofficially, we're doing that. We're having to put up silt fences and things like that.
Right.
Requirements. So we enforce our own requirements within the county already, or doing that anyway.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item K, consideration possible approval of the Second Amendment Contract 2011 CO 5151. This is on the helicopter at the island. Is everybody ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item L, we're going to defer until after executive session. Item M, request from the Cameron County, we already did that one. Item N, consideration possible action regarding reimbursement from FEMA. Pete?
Judge and Commissioners, last week David and I met with the governor's staff on the pending reimbursement on Category A, the $1.2 million that we're still out. The TDEM staff requested additional information for their audit. That information has since been forwarded to the governor's office. So I think in the next week, 10 days, we should get our reimbursement. They committed to expediting their audit once they had all the documentation they needed from us for their audit. So as I said, I think in the next week, 10 days, we should get that $1.2 million reimbursed from the governor's office.
And that makes us whole?
Yes.
That makes us whole for
Yes.
Dolly?
And for that category, yeah.
Right. Well, for that category, what about the other
Right.
category?
We got a category E, I'm not sure,
Category E would be buildings. There was a very minor funding pending, and a lot of it was being held up through the insurance, so there was some insurance.
How much is that, would that, do you remember?
I think it was maybe like 200,000 in comparison to the bigger chunk.
The 1.8 is
Two.
mostly in which,
Category A, which would be the debris removal
removal and the
monitoring.
okay. Just like we're being held accountable through these audits by the state to us, have we collected from every entity that owes us money for the removal of debris within their jurisdiction 100% of the funds?
No, sir.
Okay, I'd like a report on that at the next meeting.
There's actually been 2 agencies that I've been aware of, and we'll follow up with the rest.
You
Yes,
know,
sir.
because, I mean, we're trying to collect from others, but I think that we need to, we need to look at everyone out there that owes us money and remind them that.
How much
they're
are we
still-
owed?
yeah.
Well,
I couldn't answer that. I don't know if Martha knows, but we'll get an item on the next agenda and
Well, you can
and
do it
bring a
under
report.
FEMA or whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
one of the things I still see out there is on the side of the road, a bunch of brush piled up, and it's hard to determine, is it the old brush from the hurricane, or is it just stuff that's been piled on? I mean, I've seen stuff down 281. Yesterday, we were checking a project on Baker Potts, and on Altas Palmas, there was another big, and so on Bass Boulevard, there's another big stack, and I don't know, is there a way to determine if all of that was done, if it wasn't done? I mean, did we pay did these people do the job we paid them to, and that type of thing?
Yeah, well, I'll check with our public works director. It might be a possibility that from the tropical storm last year, but we had an issue, and you're probably not aware, or Commissioner Hernandez, with Dolly on farm to market and state roads, and that we did not go in and remove that brush because that was the responsibility of TxDOT. Now, we tried to do an interlocal with TxDOT so that we could handle that, and they didn't agree to go that route. They said they had their own contractor on board to remove that debris, but we had a lot of issues with brush on state, on system roads. But we'll get with the state, I'll get with our public works director, and then we'll get with our state and try and determine if those are still from last summer.
Well, and my only concern is that as the storm season comes and you've got a pile of brush, water's not going to flow, and then that's going to create problems for us.
And we did a cleanup, with TxDOT. They agreed, and after Dolly, after many months, they finally agreed, and they did a cleanup on all the state roads. But we probably need to address the same issue with them on the last storm we had last year.
Well, I hate to say this, but we had Marcy Martinez and visit us in certain areas, and we go out and we do clean out. I mean, just total cleanup of everything there. Within 24 hours or
Another
overnight,
stack.
it's there again. Prime example is Las Palmas subdivision, and I'll signal that out. We did 4 cleanups in Las Palmas, and Ernesto's back there. We discussed it the other day. During the process of paving every road in that community, improving the quality of every single road in that colonia. And as we speak today, I drove by there this morning, there's a pile about the size of this room in this courthouse of trash. It just, people keep throwing trash out, and it's
We're not
across.
supposed to be doing that anymore. I mean, we're
No, I
supposed to be
know,
on brush picking.
but the only folks that have brush pickup are the folks that are contracted through Allied Waste. They have once a month brush pickup.
Yeah, we have
They-
that.
They call in, but a lot of these folks just think that they'll throw it out
We're gonna
and
pick it
somebody's
up.
gonna pick it up, and our public works department could do nothing but that and
Why
never.
can't they be cited, though? Why can't
How
they
do
be
you
cited?
do it?
How-
Put them out in areas that really don't belong to
across the street from where you live.
It's very difficult to determine who places it there.
Look, I had a case last week in which I got a call from a lady on the street outside of San Benito, and she says, do you all have brush pickup? I says, if you have Allied Waste, we do. She says, well, I don't have Allied Waste. She says, well, we don't. You don't, you know. The next day, I got a call from the exact same lady on the caller ID telling us, my neighbor threw a bunch of brush on their lot.
Well,
Okay? You need to come pick it up or call the health department. We went out there, the neighbor has nothing on their lot except a pile of brush. There's no shrubbery, nothing that could have been cut. But that particular neighbor had trees that were all freshly pruned. So it all came from her, but she put it on the other one.
well, and I mean, I understand the problem, but what I'm asking is, you know, if we're looking at getting the funds, like you said, that are owed to us, did we also pay for a service that wasn't completed, and do we need to make sure that gets taken care of? Because, you know, recently on 281, and you just answered that question, but there was a huge pile there since Dolly, and it was sort of an interlocal thing that we did with our office and TxDOT, where they agreed to come and, you know, take that away. But I mean, there's other spots that I've seen piled high.
Yeah, on that one, I know that after Dolly, you know, a couple of months, TxDOT went and they got it out, because I myself went out there with TxDOT. But, yeah, our contractor, which was Ceres Environmental, I think, we monitored that because we were required by FEMA, and we couldn't get reimbursed unless we had proof that they had picked up the brush. So they did that, and
So
our Public Works Department went all through the county, making sure that they had collected. And then I remember we did 2 collections, and then we posted a notice in the newspaper saying we're gonna do one last collection
So make
the
sure
week
everything's
of,
out.
right.
Okay.
But,
So there was a way to verify that everything was done?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, and we have those records. Now, those are our county roads, but the problems we had were on state roads. And again, you know, we tried to get TxDOT to do an interlocal with us, just like we did with the smaller cities, so that we could be in control and make sure that brush was picked up, but they said, we've got our own contractor and we'll take care of our own brush, but.
And they never did.
Every pickup in any address that occurred within the county on county roads is GPS located with a picture.
Okay.
So, I mean, these guys did a very good verification process.
Okay. And I wasn't sure, that's what I was asking, I mean, I wasn't here, but I have seen piles of brush, and, you know, my concern is people call and say, hey, we have this brush, or the water's gonna come, and then what do we do? I mean, we can't wait.
We'll look at those. I'll get with Public Works and we'll
All
look at
right,
those.
thank you.
Get with TxDOT, man.
Thank you, Pete. Do I hear a motion to
So
acknowledge?
move.
By Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries. We have a few executive session items. Let me go on. Item A, confer, do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
By Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries. To discuss the following items. Item A, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning issues related to ordering of autopsies pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A. Item B, I've been asked that we table that, so that will not be discussed. Item C, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel, discuss the legal and personnel aspects of courthouse security pursuant to Code Section 551.0712, 551.074A1, and 551.076. Item D, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel to discuss legal aspects of magistration procedures for inmates coming to county jail pursuant to Code Section 551.0712. Item E, discussion and possible action regarding purchase of the following property struck off to Cameron County for itself and other taxing jurisdictions from a tax resale held on November 2nd, 2010, pursuant to Code Section 551.072, described as Lot 16, 17, 18, and 19, Block 6, Adams Gardens Mobile Estate Subdivision. On the supplemental, item 1A, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning U.S. of America versus .073 acres of land pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A and 2. And item B, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning United States of America versus 2.47 acres of land in accordance with the same code section. We'll be back. Oh, yes.
I was contacted by Judge Diaz, and she asked that we table.
Yeah, but we're not gonna table it. We're going to talk about it, but we're not going to take any action. Yeah. Session. Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 5A, confer with Commissioner's Court Legal Counsel concerning issue related to ordering of autopsies. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of everyone and proceed along the terms and conditions as discussed? Moved by Commissioner Gatsa.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item B was tabled. Item C, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel to discuss legal and personnel aspects of courthouse security. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of counsel?
So moved.
And proceed along the terms and conditions as discussed. Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item D, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel to discuss legal aspects of magistration. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of counsel and proceed along the terms and conditions as discussed by Commissioner Sanchez?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item E, the discussion and possible action regarding purchase of the following property struck off to Cameron County. Legal descriptions, lots 16, 17, 18, and 19. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of counsel?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. On the supplemental, there was two items regarding the U.S. of America versus the various acres of land. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of counsel and proceed on the terms and conditions as discussed?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Back to the regular agenda to discuss item LA, discussion of possible action on the resolution approving the various bids and private offers from the tax resale. Do I, where's Bruce? That's the motion to go ahead and approve the private bids and private offers, Bruce? Yeah, okay, moved by Commissioner Gatsa. Do I have a second? Second. By Commissioner Sanchez. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
What?
Move to adjourn.
Oh, moved by Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. God save this honorable court. Monday's a holiday, Memorial Day.